I got job security. People are not going to stop walking down that aisle. They are not going to stop having kids with people that they probably should have thought through whether they would have kids with that person or not.
But I'm glad they are. I'm glad they're taking that leap. I'm glad they're taking that risk. It's this whole beautiful mess that we're all a part of. It's like taking that risk, taking that leap of vulnerabilities of what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, and what a danger if we didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like every, you know, you hear about people like Alexander Hamilton, or you hear about, you know, people who like they were born of circumstances that like these two people should never have had a kid. And then they did. And that kid changes the world, you know, and like moves the dial forward. And what a great mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a great, you can't ever say it's a mistake. Like what an amazing thing that happened. And I think that that's one of the things I like about divorce as a practice and as almost looking at it like a spiritual practice. I think you just don't know what is a blessing, right, in the world. Like you just don't know. Like my father, I've spoken about this before publicly, and he does frequently. My father's an alcoholic. My father's been in recovery now for 7 years, I think. Yeah. But he was a bad alcoholic, Vietnam veteran my whole life, and only got sober, you know, when I was in my 40s. And a lot of the personality characteristics I have are consistent with those of adult children of alcoholics. You know, desire for control and control issues, you know, a lot of those things. And I love my life. Like I'm having a great time. If I died tomorrow, man, I did more, learned more, earned more, loved more than I ever dreamed. And so I'm so glad my dad was an alcoholic. And if you said to me, how do you raise kids? Like I wouldn't say like, well, you definitely want to be an alcoholic because like your kid's gonna get a lot of really good discipline lessons from that experience. Like, no, like I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't want that but it's born, like all these wonderful things were born of this awful situation. So I think divorce is the same thing. Like we make these mistakes, right? But they're not really, you know, I often have to say to my clients when they're like, oh, I wish I'd never married this person. I'm like, you love your kids, right? Like your kids are half that person. Mm-hmm. They would not be the organism they are without that person's DNA. So you can't regret being with that person if you love your kids. Like if you love your kids, those kids don't exist without that person. And I don't know how we refocus on that. You know, I don't know. Maybe we give anyone going through a divorce. I've actually had a theory, which I've not said out loud, but I'll say it to you because it's just us talking. I think if we could figure out a way to take a divorcing couple that is interested in potentially mediating and put them in a setting where we could give them both psilocybin, like a good dose, like 2.5, 3 grams, and have them do individual sessions with, you know, controlled setting with a guide, right? And have them sort of do that inner work and then have them do some kind of a session together after they've had that experience, that psychedelic experience. I actually think you could do transformative divorce work. Because I have found myself, and certainly the many people that I've talked to who've had psilocybin experiences, and in particular, but any psychedelic experience, many of the empathogens, right? Or even like MDMA, you know, like MDMA, which is, you know, is an empathogen. And if we brought that space and the divorce and conflict resolution space together, that sort of psychopharmacological intervention on empathy, one's empathy receptors or one's connectivity, I think that could be radically transforming. It would be logistically an absolute nightmare. It would never get done from a legal standpoint. But man, like I think sometimes like that because I think the more that you can bring people to the awareness of connection that comes from many people's psychedelic experiences, I think they could then extrapolate that into their understanding of the conflict and disconnect they're having with their partner.
So really lean into use this brink of divorce as a kind of catalyst for doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of growth together.
Well, that was what appealed to me about it. I mean, before I started doing it, it was this idea that this is a opportunity for radical reinvention.
Yeah.
Like, it was an opportunity for people to say, okay, now what? Like, I didn't expect that. Now what? And it was to be part of the architecture of that. Like, I didn't look at it like I'm helping demolish the building. It was like I'm tearing down the building so we can build the new one, which I hope is filled with joy and abundance and peace and love, real satisfaction. Like, my ex-wife is married for over a decade now to a phenomenal guy who is perfect for her. And he's nothing like me, by the way. Like if you met him and you met both of us, you'd go, well, no one could love both of these guys. Because like, if you like this flavor, you wouldn't like this flavor. Yeah. Like, I am impatient, fast talking, like, skip to the end. We got to land this plane. Come on. And he's therapist. He's chill. He's like patient, and they're perfect together. And I can say that as someone who loves her and loved her, and knows her or knew her. Like, and I think if we can radically view honestly, like, without jealousy, without the sense of, like, look at it and just go, yeah, okay. Like this is the love this person needed. Like, that doesn't mean my love sucks. It just means it wasn't the right one for this person, Like, there's a lid for every pot, Like, she found her lid. I want her to find her lid. That's good,
And there's billions of pots out there, and we just need to match them with the proper lid.
Yeah, not hit each other over the head with them all day long.
Yeah, man. This is such a romantic few hours we got to spend together. And there's even a candle burning over there.
Is there? Oh, that's lovely.
All right, brother. Thanks so much, James.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.